What's up YouTube? Welcome to today's video. I know I haven't really been making videos lately, but I've just had some real life issues I had to take care of that are still ongoing, unfortunately, but it is what it is. But today's video, I'm going to go over why I bought 2 Flask Mageblood, or I bought a defective Mageblood as you may call it, because I truly believe that it is a pretty good value and it also allows you to save up for the real Mageblood. And then we're also going to go over Tornado Shot and how you can truly optimize the clear speed of the build. Now currently, as you can see, I am using a 2 Flask Mageblood. I'm going to show you some stuff real fast. So this is pretty much just a regular map. Let me lower the sound a little bit. But as you can see here, this is pretty much the maximum amount of movement speed you will get for Mageblood. I'm running a 2 Flask and mainly benefiting from Silver Flask and Quicksilver Flask. And I want you to pay attention to Blink Arrow. And even though you might think, oh, 200% move speed is really fast, the main problem with bow builds, right, is that without a Mageblood, you move around pretty slowly, and this is pretty much your map clear speed. But with the advent of Blink Arrow Frostblink, you can pretty much just go like this. So you are pretty much using, what's it called, Blink Arrow or like Whirling Blades throughout the map. So this is without Quicksilver or Onslaught Flask. So usually if you didn't have those flasks, you would just be moving around like this slowly throughout the map, and it is very, very bad. And this is definitely one of the main reasons why I've always been apprehensive to play bow builds at League Star. But I do think with the Blink Arrow combo and Frostblink combo, you can go super fast. And if you actually did put on both of these flasks, you will see that even with the Mageblood flask, you will still move faster throughout the map if you use Blink Arrow and Frostblink. So even though you may have Mageblood, this combo is still incredibly potent, and it actually led to faster form runs than Venom Jar, which I was extremely surprised, mainly because what's it called? Bow just does infinite damage. This is a map with, let's see, 200% more monster life and 96% reduced effective curses. Is definitely not good for the build because it lowers your sniper's mark damage. But am I gonna die there? Nope. But yeah. So basically, you can see even with Mageblood and having 200% move speed, using Blink Arrow and Frostblink is still huge for absolutely destroying the clear speed. Now, as I said, the reason I bought it, I would probably buy a 3 Flask Mageblood or 4 Flask Mageblood if I had the money, but I've been pretty poor. I haven't been able to play PoE as much. And I'm also just bad at the game now. I just can't farm and find ways to farm. Sanctum has really destroyed me. I've been spending all my time in Sanctum. I think I've done over a couple hundred Sanctums now, and I did get one of the best relics of all time for my build, and that will be a topic for another video. But for people who are wondering what my relic is, it's fire damage can shock, and I can actually get a 50% shock on bosses. Now, I did decide to buy the Mageblood because if you actually think about the Mageblood and why it is actually good, you will see that there's only 2 flasks for Mageblood that truly benefits the clear speed, and that is the flasks that give you movement speed. So you have Quicksilver Flask, which gives you 40% move speed. Now, even if you say people's Quicksilver Flask is up all the time, you lose out around 40% because of the Enkindling Orb and the increased effect. So normally you wouldn't run these, so you would have 95%, 100% increased effect roughly, somewhere around there. You lose 40% there. And now they also changed it so that Onslaught Flask or Silver Flask also benefits from increased effect. So if you take off these 2 flasks, you go from, let's see, the movement speed here is 200%. You take off these 2 flasks, your move speed is all the way down to 59%. So you can say, what other belt can get you around 140% move speed? And the answer is there's no other choice, but you can kind of rely on Blink Arrow and Frostblink in order to bridge that gap. Now, one of the main things about Mageblood this time around is that there are a lot better unique flasks, and I think it is very possible that Progenesis is better than any defenses that a utility flask can give you. And if you're playing a bow build, a lot of times your damage is so high that the boss is going to die before your unique flasks even run out. Like, I know a lot of the top tier bow builds right now, if you do Uber Eater or Uber Syria Exarch, especially with the new Mir bow, using a utility flask or a unique flask is going to kill the boss a lot faster. And that's because Taste of Hate is really that OP. Taste of Hate is gain 10% of Fizz's extra cold. It also gives you a lot of damage reduction, and it's a Sapphire Flask, which makes you take less cold damage taken. And then Progenesis is pretty much chaos resist, and it also gives you pretty much 25% increased effective amounts of HP. Then we also use Dying Sun, which helps us out with a little bit of 2 additional projectiles. However, I do think that 2 Flask Mageblood is kind of troll. I would definitely go with 3 Flasks, because with 3 Flasks, you could at least get the Diamond Flask, and this build does have kind of a crit issue. So if I was trying out to make a really, what's it called? If I was going to use a Mageblood that's not 4 Flasks, I would definitely try a 3 Flask one out and use Progenesis and Taste of Hate for the 2 unique Flasks. Now, as I said, the main limiting factor for bow builds is definitely the movement speed you get. And this is huge, and that's how we solve it with Mageblood. With the 2 Flask Mageblood, you get around 200% movement speed. And there are a lot of unique Flasks. I think you could also use Orief's End, Taste of Hate, Progenesis. Some people use Aziri's Promise, but in the end, I think that Progenesis beats out a lot of the utility Flasks. And the main thing that you can do for these belts is that they actually have a very, very set price. So a lot of people might be wondering, what do I do with the 2 Flask Mageblood? And it's the same thing that you think about for the Wing Sexton. You don't really think about, like, oh, do I have to buy the belt forever? It's much better to think of things as in terms of, can I sell it easily? And you can bet your ass that it is extremely easy to sell a 2 Flask Mageblood. In fact, I probably made some money back by buying it for 100 Divines. So you can see there's a pretty determinate price for this sort of stuff. So 2 Flask Mageblood is like 100 to 120 Divine. Then you can see 3 Flask Mageup is 180 Divines. And then 4 Flasks, I think it's at like 280. Now, you might meme a little bit and say, why would you ever buy a 4 Flask if it's only like 100 Divine difference? The fact of the matter is, you tell someone to farm 100 Divines versus 280 Divines, and it is a pretty drastic difference in terms of being able to farm it. And instead of just buying apothecary cards, hoping that it won't inflate, you can at least have some fun with your currency, and you can still gain the majority of the clear speed. Like, after I bought the 2 Flask Mageblood and I used the Quicksilver and Silver Flask setup, I can say that my clear speed has dramatically increased doing these form runs. I think they're around like 4 minutes or so on average. And it really is that big of a difference. But I do want to stress, even after using the Mageblood and I finally got to try it out, that Blink Arrow and Frostblink is probably one of the biggest takeaways from how to make bow builds feel better while mapping. And that is even with the Mageblood. So the reason why we use Frostblink, Frostblink should almost always be used over Flame Dash unless you are bossing and you need the extra charges. And if you have another movement skill that can be spammed. So in this case, we can use Blink Arrow as our main movement skill. So you can think of Blink Arrow as Whirling Blade and Frostblink as what we would use for like Venom Gyre or something like that. Like Flame Dash. So in this scenario, when you use Blink Arrow, it pretty much does an animation. But you can cancel out the animation of you landing by, by Frostblinking before you land. So the reason that this works is because Frostblink, the spell has an instant cast speed, which means it is the only non-trigger method for a character to move on command while otherwise locked into a stationary action. So even though we're locked into the action of the Blink Arrow, we can still trigger it, and so that means that we can actually do an action, be locked into it, and then do Frostblink and cancel out the later portion of it, but we still get the benefit of the Blink Arrow moving us distance. So you want a Frostblink, you want a Blink Arrow, and then Frostblink, and you can travel super fast throughout the map. And this is without using Whirling Blades or Leap Slam or any sort of that stuff. But in order to really benefit from this, we need to stack cooldown recovery and link Blink Arrow to faster attacks. So we look right here. I do have Blink Arrow linked to faster attacks. So without faster attacks, it looks like this, and with faster attack, and this is without 2020, it's a lot faster because it makes the travel time go by faster. Now, we do have to take an extra bow mastery, so the skill tree is kind of screwed. So I know a lot of people do the tornado shot tree, and they have like medium clusters. So you kind of have to drop a medium cluster, and then you take these nodes over here, and then I take this extra bow mastery, that Blink Arrow and Mirror Arrow have 100% increased cooldown recovery rate. And then there's 3 more points over here with movement speed, cooldown recovery rate of movement skills, and then Fleet Foot, which is another cooldown recovery rate of movement skills. Theoretically, if you really want to go hard on it, you can find another way to get ailment immunity and get more cooldown rate recovery on the Eater of Worlds implicit over here, which should help out a little bit. So there's a lot of different ways to get cooldown recovery rate, and if you use Phantasmal Blink Arrow, you also get +1 additional charge. So right now you can see you have 2 charges, and by the time you pretty much use the Blink Arrow, you can see that the charges are already back, and it's pretty much you can just go throughout the map like this. But you do have to make sure you aim the skill a little bit, because if you just like hit a wall, you're gonna go into the wall. So you have to make sure you have a little bit of precision about where you aim the Blink Arrow. So you can see the bow masteries that people usually take are increases and reductions in projectile speed also apply to damage, and then you want to take the Blink Arrow one. And there's also a Watcher's Eye that gives you a cooldown recovery rate if you use like Vol Haste or something like that, but I currently am not. So overall, what have I learned about the 2 Flask Mageblood setup is that even with Mageblood, you want to be using Blink Arrow and Frostblink, and this is a huge game changer, and this is making me want to start Tornado Shot next league as a league starter or some sort of bow skill. Like one of the main reasons why I hate bow skills as a league starter and without Mageblood in the past before is the fact that walking around at 60% movement skill and clearing the map feels really bad without a movement skill. Before, you would just be spamming Flame Dash. So if you just look at here, you have Flame Dash, and once you're out of Flame Dash, your skill literally feels like you're stuck and you just can't move really fast. So we got rid of that, and you can see Flame Dash, so you would just be doing this, and it'll be kind of slow, right? But with the discovery of this tech, I feel like even without Mageblood, I would feel like my character is moving pretty fast with the Frostblink and everything, and it definitely makes it feel like I can play a bow build without suffering so badly in map clear speed. A lot of people make this meme that you have to have a Mageblood to play bow builds because you need that movement speed, and I do think you can bridge the gap between having a more entry-level bow character and still having that really fast mapping clear speed with the spammable movement skill of Blink Arrow, and I do think that this makes me want to play Tornado Shot earlier. And another thing is the helmet currently. Heat Shiver is probably the most broken helmet in the game, and Heat Shiver, no matter what, will still be incredibly cheap at league start. I will make another video about a more budget Tornado Shot setup, about how I would approach the league starter and how you could make it do a lot of damage. I did put together roughly a 10 Divine Tornado Shot character that did most of the Ubers. Now, the main problem with Tornado Shot is that the defenses of the build are never going to be like amazing, but you will have access to 100% spell suppression. You can run Determination easily. So the baseline defense is kind of there. You can definitely make it a lot tankier. For instance, you can run Determination. You can even run Grace if you want, if you stack more reservation efficiency. And if GGG do decide to make Sanctum Core, I do think that Tornado Shot is the best Sanctum build, or one of the best Sanctum builds, and it completely trivializes the league mechanic. Now, as I said before, buying the 2 or 3 Flask Mageblood is a great way to slowly work up your way to a Mageblood that allows you to enjoy the power level spikes of your currency rather than just having it sit in Apothecary cards. We do have to thank Rube for the Insane Cat cards. Now, without this card, I don't think there would be as many Corrupted Magebloods. I think there's also another one, like Price of Devotion or something. So there's a lot of different Mageblood cards out there. So that's why you see that some of these are two modded, and I don't think some of the other ones aren't. So like these are 1 modded, and then there's other ones that are 2 modded because of the Price of Devotion cards. But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope that this has been a kind of an eye-opening experience about how you can make a Tornado Shot build feel faster, even with Mageblood on, because it makes a huge difference. But even for love lane, make sure that you cancel out your spammable movement skill with Frostblade. It will actually transform your love lane experience, and it's probably the #1 tip that most racers have for getting through the axe faster. But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you find more Divines, Magebloods, and Insane Cats than me, and see you next time. Bye!